Problem 15-3 is asking you about the blending issue or the discrete presentation issue, okay, that I talked about earlier. It says, Manor County officials have concluded that several legally separate entities must be included in it as component units, right? So they have already determined these are component units. So they've done what we just did, okay? So they've already determined that. Now, they're looking at, do we get to blend those? Do we get to, in essence, total them, right? Which is on 621. That's discussed on 621. It actually starts at the bottom of 617, kind of leading into this. Then on 621, it talks about blending or discrete presentation, right? Those are the two ways you can present a component unit, okay? So the question here is, are these, well, it says required. Indicate the reporting entity fund type, okay? And you would only have a reporting entity fund type if there's blending, okay? Because if there's blending, then you're blending the component unit with the funds from the primary government. Does that make sense? So with all those special revenue funds, right, the debt service funds, things like that. If you look back, let's see, what chapter was it? Back in chapter 13, I think, we were given a government-wide statement. Let's see if I can find it here. Page 534. And Jackie, I think you asked about this when we were going over to chapter 13 last week. There are two component units listed there. They're listed the landfill and the public school system. Those are discretely reported component units. Okay? If they were blended, they would be blended up into the other funds with the government pieces. Does that make sense? So the question is, can we include it with the primary government funds? Can we just kind of lump it all together? Or do they have to be discretely reported? Okay? So reported on their own. In this case, the school district and the airport authority must be discretely presented and are not blended into any fund type of the county's CAFR. The only blending criterion that applies to entities that provide public services is having substantively the same governing body and either having a financial benefit or burden relationship or the county's management having operational authority. These components do not apply, right, given the information that you're given in problem 15-3. Okay? Now, those thresholds are given to you on page 618 in the text. Those bullet points, right, that tells you, and the italics. It says blending is used only if a component unit is deemed to be part of the primary government in substance. Then it tells you, to be considered part of the substantive primary government, a component unit must have one of the following characteristics. And it gives you those characteristics. Okay? So for two of the funds in problem 15-3, the school district, or two of the component units, the school district and the airport enterprise fund, they do not meet that threshold. So they have to be discretely reported. Therefore, they don't have any fund types. Right? That's why it says, indicate the reporting entity fund type, if any. Okay? What is that? Oh, that's you! Okay. I reset my phone, so I didn't know if it was me. Okay, the third entity that's there, the third component unit, is Manor County Public Employee Retirement System. Okay? A public employee retirement system, it meets the same governing body criterion as told you in the problem, but it's a fiduciary component unit. And fiduciary component units cannot be blended. Okay? So if it's a fiduciary component unit, what does that mean? What is a fiduciary? What is a fiduciary component unit?
They're holding money.
They're holding money, right? They have no net position, they're holding money. Okay? So if it's a fiduciary unit, it doesn't get reported in that way. Okay? So it doesn't even go on the statements. Okay? It doesn't go in the government-wide financial statements. Alright? If you go back to that chart that we looked at on page 605, right? It doesn't, it only shows for trust funds, right? Statement of fiduciary net position, okay? But it doesn't have operations. Okay? So it wouldn't go on the statement. It wouldn't have any fund type because it doesn't get blended, it doesn't get reported that way. Okay? So all three of these problems for chapter 15 are classification problems. Okay? So it's just asking you to understand